Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the harms and benefits of coffee. Now, most of these harms really only start occurring when someone starts consuming over 2 cups of coffee per day, and some of these may actually not even happen at all. And it also depends if you are a slow or a fast metabolizer of caffeine, so just keep this in mind. So I have consumed anywhere between 3 and 9 cups of coffee for the past 15 years. And I've also been off coffee for the last 2 years. So I can tell you which harms that I've personally experienced and also which benefits I've experienced. Now, I personally, on average, was consuming probably 4 cups of coffee per day. So some of these harms may not apply to you if you are consuming less than that, or if you are a fast metabolizer of caffeine. But if you're someone who consumes over 2 cups of coffee per day, you can get more headaches, less energy, and dehydration in the morning before you have your coffee. So basically, now that I'm off coffee, I wake up with good energy. I don't need coffee to actually give me energy in the morning. So that's one potential harm. My acid reflux and throat mucus was a lot worse consuming 4 cups of coffee. So after about 30 days of being off coffee, this dramatically improved for me. You can become dependent on coffee for energy and focus. So this is basically my energy would peak after I'd have a cup, then there'd be a trough, a peak, a trough, a peak, a trough. So when I would hit these troughs, my focus, my energy was really bad. So that kept me in this dependent loop. But again, I was consuming 4 cups of coffee per day. I didn't really experience too much anxiousness or nervousness or the jitteriness. But if I did overdo coffee, sometimes I would feel that. My sleep wasn't particularly bad consuming coffee, but I do think I sleep better off of coffee. So you don't really know some of these things until you actually come off of it. There are numerous vitamin and mineral depletions with coffee, but I can kind of walk you through how to sort of offset some of these. But B vitamins, particularly vitamin B1, but if you consume coffee close to the time of your B vitamins, it can break the rings open and kind of destroy the vitamin from working. And even if it doesn't do that, it will reduce the absorption of B vitamins in the intestine. So you always want to take your B vitamins 30 to 60 minutes prior to coffee or 3 hours after coffee. Coffee and tea can inhibit the absorption of non-heme iron. So you also, if you have iron deficiency, that's something that can help you out, right? Basically spacing your iron or your iron foods or iron supplements away from coffee. So taking the iron 30 to 60 minutes before coffee or 3 hours after coffee. Now, coffee in particular is a very large sodium waster. So even at just 1 cup, we lose about 437 milligrams of sodium. And 2 cups will cause a 600 milligram sodium loss, and 4 cups will cause a 1,200 milligram sodium loss. So it kicks sodium out in the urine. It also inhibits the absorption of sodium by about 20%, which is why you want to take salt and electrolytes 30 to 60 minutes before coffee, because it inhibits its absorption, and also you're kicking out more sodium even with just 1 cup of coffee. Same thing with potassium too. It will increase the excretion of potassium, but not nearly as much. So for example, 3 cups of coffee will kick out about 250 milligrams of potassium. Magnesium and calcium, very little is lost in the urine. There is an increase, like you're talking about maybe 10 milligrams extra loss of magnesium and calcium out in the urine. But remember, the bioavailability of calcium and magnesium is only about 30%. So if you lose 10, you have to essentially consume 30 to get that 10 back, because it only has about a 30% bioavailability. You also lose more of magnesium and calcium through the laxative effect. So the hepatobiliary recycling goes down when you consume coffee. So you will lose more out in the stool as well. So keep that in mind. So you do need a little more magnesium and calcium when you consume coffee. Again, these are things you can offset though, right? Just by making sure you are consuming a little more salt and electrolytes and trying to consume those 30 to 60 minutes before coffee. You will need more taurine too, because coffee will increase the loss of taurine out in the urine, and it will inhibit the absorption of inositol by about 25%. So if you're taking someone who takes inositol, you just bump up the dose by 25. And actually, it's a pretty good combo when you take inositol with coffee for energy, but then inositol helps with sleep at night. If you're consuming over 2 cups of coffee, particularly within about an hour, you definitely will see an increase in urination. But if you consume, less than that, then you probably won't. There are people that report more joint pain when they take coffee, and I did have worse allergies on coffee. So those are the potential harms. You may not experience any of these, but these are some things. Definitely this can happen, right? Vitamin and mineral depletion. So here's kind of how you can sort of avoid it, is by upping those and spacing your coffee out from these. Okay, so benefits. There's definitely a ton of benefits to coffee as well, right? So we know, and definitely this is something I missed too, is that it inhibits appetite. So in the morning, I didn't really need to consume breakfast because I would have my cup of coffee, and it just kind of, because it's harsh on the gastrointestinal system, that's partially why it inhibits appetite. So there's a positive and a negative to that appetite inhibition. Going to the bathroom is a lot easier on coffee, right? It has a laxative effect, so it can help people with constipation. When you're on coffee, your energy and focus is better, let's say, when you're off of coffee. So off of coffee, you have much more stable energy, but when that caffeine hits, your productivity, your energy, your focus is definitely better. But then you hit the trough, and it's worse than had you not been on coffee at all. So that kind of keeps you in that cycle. If you're consuming over 2 cups per day, I think 2 cups or less, you're probably not going to have that negative side effect. It can increase athletic performance, particularly at about 3 milligrams per kilogram body weight. However, as you become habituated to coffee, the athletic performance benefits can go down. It's of course enjoyable and can improve a lot of people's mood. There are several associative studies saying that those who consume coffee are at a lower risk of cancer and diabetes. Somewhat questionable, right? These aren't actual clinical studies showing decreases in A1C or decreases in cancer, so keep that in mind. But coffee is the greatest antioxidant that is consumed by Americans. So how it's an antioxidant is coffee contains chlorogenic acid. Our body converts that to caffeic acid. And then caffeic acid gets converted to ferulic acid. And ferulic acid is, basically a master antioxidant. It basically activates a lot of our, own antioxidant enzymes. So most people get most of their antioxidants through coffee. So it kind of has some cardiovascular benefits. So if you're someone that is consuming 2 cups of coffee or less, that will probably eliminate many of those harms. Not all, right? Because even 1 cup of coffee can cause sodium loss and can inhibit the absorption of B vitamins and iron. But the benefit to risk ratio goes down as you basically go above 2 cups of coffee per day. And then what are people putting in their coffee? So coffee can be a source of a lot of harmful calories for some people. Some people are just dumping a ton of sugar and dumping a lot of heavy cream. And now you're getting like a huge fat and sugar bomb. So that's not what you want as well. So when I consumed coffee, I just consumed a little bit of heavy cream, not too much. You don't want a huge fat bomb. But you just got to be careful with what you're actually putting in your coffee.